big thank you to Heidi for this inspiring opening. And I think we've already heard quite a few intriguing theses that we will be discussing in our panel later on. But first, let me point you to something that you might have witnessed here. You know that you are seeing the videos that we're watching and the slides that we're looking at up there, but you've also noticed that all of us are looking down there. That is because we're in a very special construction. We're within the 4D box, and actually the projection works in this way, that it's projected onto the floor and reflected back up onto the foil, but what you see up there, we can't see. We only see what's down there. But there is someone who can explain the mechanics of all this way better than I can. So let me introduce our host, Mikael Fock from Denmark. He is a director and media artist, and he is the person responsible for this beautiful stage and box that we're in. The 4D box, which also will show a performance of Shadow an hour after this panel finishes. So I warmly invite you to join us for that as well. And you might have already seen some of Mikael's work because he was already here in 2018, where the 4D box was placed inside Lentos, or in the open space actually, right?
It was at Lentos Museum.
Yeah. So, Mikael, introduce us to this place, please. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. First of all, I want to apologize for the heating, and because it's a very digital box, but somebody didn't think about ventilation, and that's the problem with technology all the time. There's always something that you miss. You don't know really what you missed before it's too late. But I hope you can. You have a program you can wave with. So yeah, I will move to this place over here.
It is really hot.
I'm supposed to do that. The 40 box that you're sitting in is actually could be an answer to this question: what could the modern digital theater look like? It's one of the answers anyway. I mean, through the times we've had ancient theater where you could hear a coin drop on the floor in Epidaurus, and you had the king's theaters with like classical theater that from the royal theater in different capitals. We also have the ballet and the opera, and then we have the black box. And that is something that we can fill a lot of technology into. And from my perspective as a theater director and producer, I've been always thrilled by the idea of going behind the mirror. How do we go behind the mirror together? And we see a lot of technologies right now, VR with glasses and augmented reality and sound, fantastic developments in technology. But for me, theater has always been that we are there together. So for me, it has been the development of this box has also been a very stubborn strive to have this social feeling of being together and still being able to get into this digital world. This that you just referred to, this is actually an old technology. It's called Pepper's Ghost. And some of you might have heard about it. And I started to work with Pepper's Ghost 20 years ago, more than 20, 22 years ago actually. And I found out that you could actually use a foil instead of glass. And we had to, develop this foil so it wouldn't burn and the theaters wouldn't burn down, and it would be, and it had to be a dead material. It's a lot of research to that, but then we finally found out, and you can't use glass that you used in the 1700s because you do make double projections. So finally we found out you could produce these foils in very big sizes, and that's what we're using. And we've been using this to make digital theater, but also miracle theater. You could say theater that could bring new immersive sets or worlds, or bring the world into the stage. And when I started in 2000, there were like very, very few HD cameras in the world. So we had to import an HD camera from Japan, Could you imagine how expensive that was? And to render things, to put them down and have a troll or some kind of landscape it would take so long time, 50 hours to re-render 30 seconds. Now any of you can do this with your iPhone, with your smartphone. So HD is no problem. Everything is going very fast right now. So for us, this development has been very much about new technologies developing, but then something happens. Something happens with the AI, with the artificial intelligence, which is really, really something different than what has happened before. Because, I mean, we've had new lamps, we have LED, we have a lot of things, we have projectors, things become more and more digital. But now we have this AI, which has been, for me, something really, really challenging. And that made a step for us to a progress for us in developing the 40 box. Because we could see that it would be possible to make a performance where we would use AI not just as a person, but also something that could drive the technology. So just to keep it very simple and technological, I can tell you that what you see, what you maybe cannot see, but maybe you can see it, up there on top of your head, you have two projectors, 21,000 anti-lumen. They have two filters inside, stereoscopic pictures, and they will bounce down a picture which is in 3D, and then you need these kind of glasses to put on, and then the world will be in 3D. But you will still sit beside somebody, and you will still be able to see the actor on the stage. So what we did was to take this picture, put it back into a program called Unity, and then you would make a digital stage in the computers behind you, and this stage can mirror the actor on the stage, which is actually represented by a Kinect up here, which makes a cloud representation of tracking of the person. So the person will be placed the right, or you could say the digital world will be placed the right way around the persons or the actors on the stage. So now we can actually mingle these things together. We can merge these things, and we are on the other side of the mirror. So what kind of stories could that be interesting to use for? So the AI was for me as a director, but also as a festival director I was doing the Click Festival for 12 years at the Culture Yard. We were all the time striving to find new ways of making artists use these new technologies, because the new technologies would be, you could say, it would be some kind of occupation of the humans. So if we could make artists work with these new technologies, you could say it would be a kind of revolt against the technologies. So how could we use the AI in that? And that's why I come back to the performance that you are going to see at 3 o'clock. Probably some of you at least. It's called Shadow, and it's a story of Hans Christian Andersen, a story that is one of his more sinister and dark fairy tales about this young scientist who is writing his PhD in a room in Italy in 1700, something like 1800, something like that. That's where Hans Christian Andersen lived. And he doesn't have the guts there's this balcony just right in front of his own balcony. And there's this wonderful music and light. He calls it the chamber of poetry. And maybe there's a woman there or something which the curtains are, in the wind, and it becomes very intriguing for him. But he's a studied person, and he's a very shy person too, as many humans are. So he plays with the shadow. His shadow, he has a chandelier behind him, a candle. So he finds out that his shadow is on the other side. So he can really caress this woman on the other side and this go behind the curtains. And whether it's an imagination or it's real, one day his shadow disappears. And then it returns. Many years later, and he's an old man, and he still writes on his PhD probably. And then you should read it, but I can tell you, I will make a spoiler now, but it actually ends up killing him. So I thought this story is actually about this one. It's about the iPhone, the smartphone. So if we could make this kind of merge between the shadow and the smartphone, it would be really, really interesting. So we started to train this AI, and what you will see is that it's an AI that is live on the stage for 75% of the time. It's playing games with the audience. It's talking with the actor and the audience, but it's also running the virtual representation in 3D, which is a kind of figure that's on the stage by itself. It is also running the light up here, because the LED light here is also 3D. So it runs with this visual representation and mirrors on the actor's face. And it's also running the whole soundscape, which is 8-channel, so it's like a sound that's everywhere, and it's also directed by this AI, where it is in the room and what it's saying, and it's harvesting sentiment analysis. So now we have made a totally AI universe in this box, and it becomes really a 3D box or something that can interact with human beings. So I think my time has run out. Yes, and you're nodding, and I just want to say I'm looking forward to you to come to see it at 3 o'clock or 5:30, and then you will understand much more, hopefully.
Thank you very much.